We can go to Christian teachings and we can specifically point to the Bible as a source of what we now believe about inalienable rights. It's in our documents, but it came out of the Bible. We can point to the Bible as a source of republicanism. We can point to the Bible as a source of the free enterprise system. We can point to the Bible for all these cultural things that we just call great American characteristics that came out of the Bible. So we really need to get back to studying what gave us our initial success. As a matter of fact, that initial success has direct application even today. In America, we have a lot of problems, social problems, we have crime problems, we have drug problems, we have others. And we are a nation really conscious of statistics. I mean, we keep studies on everything. We keep track of everything. And part of that is required by the Constitution. Way back when they did the Constitution, they required certain categories of statistics to be kept. So the government actually has statistics that go back to 1790. We've been keeping track of certain things for hundreds of years. Well, it's interesting that if you look at what we do now with crime, with prison rehab, and whether you look at state or federal prisons, right now, the average recidivism rate in America is 68%, wow. Which what that means is once an inmate gets out of prison, 68% of those inmates, from the time they get out within 2 years, will commit a crime that put them right back in. So on average, nationally with our prison system, 2/3 of those guys will be back in within 2 years. Wow. We now have a number of states that have faith-based prisons, run by the state, run by organizations with cooperation of the state. They're prisons that the prisoners voluntarily choose to go to, but if they choose to go to, they're going to get a strong dose of faith aspects. It's interesting that in those prisons, and really a significant number of states now have them, but in those prisons, the recidivism rate is only 8%.
Oh my goodness.
68% in the secular prisons, 8% in the faith-based prisons. The difference, if you can take 68% drop it to 8%, that's an 85% reduction. So let's talk about needing 85% less courts, 85% less judges, 85% less prisons, 85% less prisoners. Think of the economic impact. Man, if I'm an atheist, I'm for faith-based programs because of what it does for my pocketbook.
Right.
But then you've got the human side. We have about 1.3, 1.4 million children who have a parent in prison.
Oh my goodness.
Now, we know from studies out of the Justice Department elsewhere that if a child is raised having a parent in prison, the chances of them going to prison as well are about 90%. So if you can return a lot of those parents back to the home, you've now dropped the future crime rate even further. And what that means, not from an economic standpoint, but from the human standpoint. What it means for those parents, what it means for those kids, what it means for the communities in which they live. This is huge stuff. I mean, faith has a direct, tangible impact on a nation. See, we have the same thing with drug rehab. Government runs drug rehab programs. Every state has them. Feds have them. The average cure rate in the government-run drug rehab program is under 10%. So we put a ton of money into helping people kick a habit, and less than 10% of them do it. The average cure rate in a faith-based drug rehab program is over 70%.